Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 2022 meeting of the LGBTQIA Plus Commission. I'm calling the meeting to order, and we're going to start with roll call. Billy?
Yes, thank you. So I'm just looking for my pen now. So Kathy Boyle, I see Kathy Boyle. Nakia Burton Tucker, I do not see Nakia. Denise DeSimone, I see Denise. Jam Hammond is present. I'm present. Sue Kerr. Bruce Kraus, I don't see Bruce Kraus. Britton Mock, hi Britton. Maria Montano is here. Lenny Orbovich, Richard Parsakian, Shantae Porter. Don't see Shantae Porter yet. Christopher Robinson. I thought I saw him starting to connect, but
Yes.
I don't see him. If you're here, Christopher, speak up. Marcus Robinson, I see. Sarah Rosso, I don't see Sarah Rosso. Derek Tynes, I don't see Derek Tynes. Guillermo Velasquez, I do see. Or I did see. No, there you are. There you are. I see. Thanks for waving.
People are getting booted off. So, all right. Well, good evening, everyone. Happy Pride Month. Hope that you all are holding on this.
And if you can mute when you're not speaking, because we're getting some echoes.
Some unseasonable weather. So, okay, let's start with our reading and approval of minutes. Billy sent those out to everyone. We're assuming that you read them. Are there any proposed changes, questions, edits? Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from May 2022?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right. I'm assuming that's unanimous, and we're gonna move on. So, next up are I'm sorry, I'm having to flip back and forth because I have to use my Chromebook. Okay, co-chair reports, which I guess will fall on me. So the co-chair, Sarah and I met, and we're going to be reaching out to each commissioner. The two of us will reach out from the main account to each of you individually to just look at attendance and discuss if there's any concerns or anything like that, and then also just touch base with you to see how things are going. And we thought that we would do that twice a year, and it would just be an email, checking in, seeing out, that sort of thing. Attendance has been a bit of a challenge. A few months we didn't have quorum, so we weren't able to proceed. So we're going to ask people to be mindful of that and to let us know if you can't be here. And if you are unable to attend due to some last minute circumstances and you just tell us the next day or so by email, then that does not count against our attendance requirements in the bylaws. And this is a bylaw issue, so we have to do this. So any questions, comments about that? We won't have any sort of public discussions. Let me flip to here. Okay.
Maybe it would be a good idea to tell one person instead of not knowing who to tell if you're not going to make it to the meeting.
So
perhaps
yeah.
Billy, since Billy checks the attendance, people can just email Billy if they know they can't make it. Just a suggestion.
Yeah. Billy, what do you think?
I think that's fine. I have to report that to the co-chairs because they have the responsibility of responding to attendance when a commissioner does not notify. I think our bylaws say notify a co-chair. So I could be an intermediary if we want a single person or designate one of the co-chairs, either way.
Well, why don't we maybe talk about that at our executive committee meeting, like who has the most time and it can be most efficiently run, and then I'm thinking it could just be the main address maybe, and we could check it that way. The LGBTQIA Gmail. Does anyone have strong feelings about how we resolve that, or just that we
If
make a plan
it's,
and let you know what it is?
yeah, I think it's as simple as sending an email to that address. That way it alerts all of the co-chairs at the same time, as well as the remainder of the groups as well. I don't think that would, I don't think we need to create a system where we email Billy and then Billy has to then do a report back out to the co-chairs for the bylaws. If we can just respond directly to the email of whether or not we will not be in attendance that evening.
So you're talking about the Google group email.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
okay.
that sufficient enough for the purposes of letting folks know that you are unable to attend the meeting?
I would think, I mean, it's certainly fine. I think people just, if there's a reason that you have it to do it privately, that you could just email a co-chair, especially if, you know, you don't want to discuss the details.
Well, there's an email address that is the commission email address that isn't the Google group address that Marcus, I think Sue and I all have access to monitor, to respond to any email that comes to the commission. So I think using that email address is is the proper one for reporting that someone would not be able to attend a commission meeting, so that they're not dinged by the requirement to notify. But I think that's a better way than just a group conversation about attendance.
And for the clarity of the minutes and for the record, for us to have, what is that email address, Billy?
Marcus, you know it off by heart better than me, I think.
See, this is what I mean. I don't think people are letting people know that they can attend because they don't know who to let them know.
Yeah, well, we're going to get that
Yeah.
email address to everybody. I just don't have it memorized.
Yeah, I can send, what I'll do is I'll send an email now just so everyone has it.
But can you also speak it aloud for the minutes so that it's in the public record?
Yeah, LGBTQIA Commission PGH@gmail.com.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, and it's on our Facebook page, and it's going to be on our website as well. So that should hopefully also help, in terms of letting people know where kind of like that it exists and to use it.
Okay, that's a good solution. Thank you for that suggestion, Guillermo. Anything else on this matter? The other piece with that is timing us, is being here at 5:30 or whatever time the meeting's going to start, so we're not delayed and having a quorum, so that we can actually do our business. So if you're going to be late, you could also let us know so we can anticipate your arrival. Okay, Maria, the next issue would go to you, that we wanted to talk about the status of the city budget assigned a half-time staff person to be divided between us and the Gender Equity Commission. We'd like to know the update on that.
So this is a position that we're looking into that would be in the next year's city budget. There is no line item in the budget for the staff position. It would need to be created in the next budget season, which we're in the beginning stages of doing community engagement for at this point. So we're in that process of doing that side of the budget that deals with staffing, and our first public meetings on this matter are going to be starting soon, as well as the city has launched an Engage PGH survey to let community members know what their budget priorities are. So things related to the commission and any budgetary related items related to the commission, this would be the opportune time for members of the community to talk more freely about, or specifically about, what sort of budgetary items they would like for the LGBTQIA community and also this commission in general. And to go to the other half of the conversation, I don't know if I'm jumping this a little bit, but when this commission was created, there was no budget assigned to it. So at this point in time, there is no budget for the LGBTQI commission in this budget year. So if any budget that we would do would need to be submitted as a budget proposal as part of the budgeting process for the city, which would take an effect the next budgeting year.
Now, I thought we had a line item. Am I wrong in remembering that, Guillermo? Do you remember that piece?
Well, yes, we were advised that the budget was approved and that there was an assigned amount to the commission. And that approval happened in the last meeting in November, December. That was our understanding.
Do you have record of that in writing that you could share with us? Because from our understanding is that that didn't exist.
Yeah, I do have an email that I can forward to you as a follow-up. And we can trace it.
It was also my understanding that we do have a budget. So this is surprising to hear. So we do need to clear this up.
There's a line item in the budget that's on the city's website, by the way, the 2022 operating budget.
Yeah. Just so you know, I just look at the emails right now, and the email came on October the 21st from Tiffany Simons, and she indicated that for the 2022, the commission had a budget for $57,500. And of course, I can forward this to you.
Yeah, if you can forward that to us, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know the process going forward, that there will be public input on priorities, and I assume that means that as members of the commission, we can also weigh in on what we think would be the
Absolutely. Yes.
and so people can do that individually, as well as, you know, we can discuss it as a commission, perhaps at our, once that process is in place. And that answers the question. Maria, thank you for your work doing all the liaisoning with us. So that's been very helpful.
There's been a lot of things that we're trying to translate from the turnover of the administration into what is out there in a variety of these commissions. So our apologies if we did miss something when we were reading through items on this, but I'll go back and do our diligence and an understanding of the budget and what that looks like and report back at the next meeting with what that looks like.
Well, that was our real only issue there. The third issue under co-chair reports is the Pittsburgh Pirates. By the way, tomorrow is Pride Night. One of us will be pitching the first pitch and is quite nervous about it. But anyway, we had met with them to discuss the John Rich concert, Big and Rich concert, and they have come back to us and proposed that we have quarterly meetings. And I asked for more specifics about what that looked like, and because I guess June being a very busy month, they haven't put that together yet. But the executive committee was inclined to accept that invitation, and our idea would be that we would set those meetings, and whomever from the commission could attend would be welcome to attend, and that we would have a few people that were designated, you know, to be there on a regular basis. And it's really quite the opposite of what took place prior to the Big and Rich concert. So that's the, you know, positive outcome. It's a lot of time. Let me just open the floor to any thoughts on that invitation. Suggestions? Nothing?
I wasn't sure what you were asking.
just if feedback on the idea. They asked us to do it. We think it's a good idea, but the commission has to agree to meet quarterly with the pirates to talk about what.
But isn't that what we wanted? We want them to collaborate with us, and we wanted to do all of this. So now we have the door open, so we can just get back to them and say, yes, we're very happy.
I think quarterly also makes a lot more sense. I mean, because the idea of monthly came up, monthly meetings at our initial meeting with them. That seemed more than was necessary. So I think a quarterly meeting makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And the idea also came up that we would potentially develop similar types of relationships with the other professional teams and serve in whatever official capacity we could. So, but because we don't know times or dates or anything like that, we thought it was important to just have it set, and then whoever can be there will be there, and then a couple of us will commit to participate in that, but nobody would be excluded from those meetings from the commissioners. Does that seem like a reasonable approach? That way, depending on the topic or who has time.
I support that recommendation.
Okay. Great. Now, is anyone going to the game tomorrow night?
I am. Me.
I am.
Absolutely.
You hinted that I would be able to get a ticket from you, so if
I sent you an email about that. I had some ticketing app.
Okay, I'll read my email. Thank you.
We got it straightened out. I will have your ticket to you. If anybody would like a ticket, I have, or Pittsburgh LGBTQ Charities has extra tickets, not me personally, but we'd be happy to share them with you. So
I was planning to go until COVID had other ideas.
oh.
So I won't be there.
Kathy, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that you're.
Yeah, it's
feeling
okay. Yeah, it's okay. Just no fun.
No. All right, well, that's it. Let's check in. Guillermo, treasurer's report.
Well, the update is basically in line to what has been already discussed. Maria was going to kindly check on with the city in terms of the budget. So I think I will follow up with her on the email that I just forwarded from the correspondence from last year. And so my plan is to update in the next meeting, depending on what happens in between now and then. The only other item that I remember from the first meeting that Maria was present was as to whether or not the commission needed to be insured, and she was going to check on that. And I think those were the only two things that were pending.
No,
I have to check the minutes, but I don't maybe there's something I'm not remembering.
So the commission does not need additional insurance.
Okay, thank you. So that's my update.
And I guess, sorry, just to look back at that now that I'm seeing what you sent over, Guillermo, and a quick look at the budget itself. So the budgeting, it looks like specifically for, and I'll follow this up with Jake Pollack from the director of OMB. It looks like the budget itself is specifically for part-time staff, as well as paid internship funding, and that's what the 57,000 is for. Not so much any sort of operating outside of that. But I'll follow up with Jake Pollack on that. So in terms of like, if we wanted to do other things outside of a staffed position that would require funding, I'm not sure that money exists. Maybe that's where the confusion was in terms of the budgetary questions, of what that looks like. So I will clarify that with Jake Pollack, but from what you sent me, it looks like the budgeting is staffed for a part-time staff person and a paid internship funding for the commission. But I'll get those numbers and what that looks like and follow back up with folks.
Thank you.
Any questions on this topic at all? Please feel free to say what you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I think it's very important that we do have a budget, a working budget. Otherwise, we're going to have our hands tied in doing certain events, town halls, having a presence in the community, pamphlets. I know we can do some in-house printing and that kind of thing, but I think it's very important that we do have a budget of some sort.
Okay, I agree. Noted. And we'll revisit this next month. We're going to move on to the outreach coordinators report. That is Marcus.
So I just had a couple of things. The first is thanks everyone who added some, I know it was a tough task in terms of adding different types of research or language that we wouldn't necessarily want posted on our social media pages. So I sent that off to the city law department and should hopefully hear back in a couple of weeks. And then once that's done, I think have a much better kind of understanding of what we can do on our social media and generally about our accounts in general. So that's the first update. The second one is, or actually I'll pause there. Any questions or?
Can you repeat precisely what you sent to the law department in terms of characterizing it, not every word of what you sent, but.
Yeah, so we essentially had to outline, very specifically what type of, language we would not necessarily want visible on our social media pages. So, slurs and all those horrible kind of things. So just so they can kind of have an understanding of what type of language we wouldn't necessarily want visible. So we sent that, and then, additionally, just some general kind of concepts that we would like them to research, about, what kind of qualifies for things you can hide, some more high level things, as well as a very specific language that we wouldn't want posted. So, we know that we can't necessarily delete comments, but, in terms of hiding comments, what that could look like. So that was that. And that document is in our Google Drive as well for, if people come up with anything they would like to add. We can also send that along to City Law to review as well.
We should add that City Law told us that on their agenda has been to do this for all of the commissions, because no one can delete any comment that's submitted in a public forum, but you are permitted to hide things that are not protected by the First Amendment. So fighting words, that sort of language. But they're hoping for some universality, because those words also shouldn't be appropriate on other commission pages. And the idea is that that would do harm to the reader versus just being, a nasty, ugly comment. So we want to avoid that. So I like to just say, I think that it's great that we did all this work because we're having an impact on the whole city, because they've now prioritized creating that policy, which will help all of the commission Facebook pages and thus be good for all of the residents of the city. So that's important. Impact.
And then, once we have that too, I think it'll be helpful too, because that'll be a very, if we are able to hide certain kind of types of comments or, generally just with what we post, that'll be definitely a significant time activity that people will have to do. So we can definitely have some opportunities for people who are interested to stay on top of that. And, we'll be able to put together some guidelines in terms of things that we can, hide or address and follow up with accordingly. So no other comments on that. The second thing is just in terms of the page on the city website. So thanks, Maria, for connecting to INP. So we met and I have the information that, people help provide feedback for on the draft text of that page that we had previously. So I'm going to send that this weekend, just give that a look over and then send off to INP to activate the page on the city website. So we'll be able to have that kind of as a nice landing page for people to, have some visibility about the commission and contact us as well. And then actually on that topic too, if anyone has like a picture, kind of like a Pittsburgh edition of a picture of the Progress Pride flag, I could put that on the page just for a little like I could go with a stock photo, but thought, Pittsburgh personalized thing might be kind of nice.
Marcus, maybe you could use a photo from the Pirates game. They're going to unfurl the
Yeah.
flag. And I'm sure we could get someone to try to catch a photo that we could put in the public domain.
Oh, that's a good idea. I was going to ask you about tickets, so maybe that could be my homework to take a photo. So I'll make a note for that. So that's in terms of the website there. And so that'll go up, and then I'll send everyone a link as well. And then I can at least put that link on our Facebook page as well. So while we're still working to get content, it's something that people can click onto. There'll also be a form that they had a default form for people that be interested in contact us. So I'm just going to make a simple Google form version of that, so we can post that on the page. And if people want to contact us, they can send it to our email.
Thank you, Marcus. Any other comments on social media or outreach in general?
Well, I wanted to remark, and forgive my lack of memory. You might have to help me on this, Marcus, but I don't remember all the suggestions. I haven't looked at it lately regarding the webpage. But one thing I think we would want to do is to have, on one part of the menu when we go to the commissioners, who are the commissioners, and have us, listed there at least, and maybe clicking on each name, there would be a photo and a short bio of who we are. I think that would be really helpful we should use ourselves as, a display of diversity, and also of that we're real people, and that we live in this city and care about it. So I hope that we have that on the webpage, and I don't know how much information that is going to IMP to populate the webpage, but I think that should be part of it.
I know the Art Commission have our names listed on the city website, but there is no link into a bio. So I don't know how much information they can handle, but our names are there. I don't know if I'm surprised that our names are not listed. I haven't looked at the website lately, but I would be surprised if we are not listed. So I'm glad you're talking about this.
So yeah, so right now the mock-up just has the names of everyone. So we could definitely add, it didn't seem like there was an issue in terms of what we wanted to add. It's just, we can add what we want. So on that note, then if maybe people can send me, let's say like a 2 to 3 sentence bio. And then I think I can touch base with the IMP contact about photos, but maybe just send me a photo. And then I can include that in the mock-up that I give. And also I'll look to see if there's any configuration, like quality or images that they need in terms of, or resolution, that's the word I'm looking for the photo. But just in advance of that, if you could send me a photo and then a 2 to 3 sentence bio, I think that would probably be a good starting point.
So Marcus, when you say the website being a mock-up, meaning that it's not live, right?
Yes, yeah. So Guillermo, it's just when you go to the boards, authorities, and commissions section of the city website, they essentially have drafted all the text. It's just not visible to.
Because I went to that section and I did not see the LGBT commission.
So if you have the link, you can see it, but it's not visible in terms of navigating from that. So yeah, so once I give them the go ahead in terms of the content we want and the information, they just have to make it public, I guess, for lack of a technical term.
Understand.
But did you earlier share the link?
I did. So I shared the link. I want to say I can find that email and resend it to everyone. And then I took all that text and put it in a Google document, and that's where everyone provided comments. So you can still technically go and see it. It's just in terms of the site navigation, you can't find it or access it. So I guess if people could send me a 2 to 3 sentence bio within the next week, that seems feasible. I'll add that to the mock-up, and then I can send that over to the IMP contact and get that up and running.
Okay, Marcus, can you send a reminder next week on the Google group to prompt
Yeah.
people to send you the bio so it's not lost in the shuffle?
Can do.
Any other comments on outreach, or if not, we will move forward. We have a lot to do tonight. Up next are our nominations and election committee. Well, we have a officer position to fill, the co-chair position, the third co-chair, and I'm going to turn it over to Billy to get us running with the election.
Yeah, so we don't have the ability this evening to do the polling that simplified and and expedited the last time that we did a selection. So what we're going to need to do tonight is that there will be, in a moment, we'll turn it over to the nomination and election committee group, and they will do the process of, requesting nominations and then closing the nominations and then doing the process of the election. So what we were thinking, absent the polling, is that we would send our ballots to an email address. And that the three, after the nominations, the committee goes into a breakout room. And that's Lenny. Jam volunteered last time also, I believe. And Maria automatically is part of it because she's the liaison. So the three of you are in a breakout group and you'll receive the ballots by email. And and then the three of you verify. There's three sets of eyes on the results. And then when you've got the results, you leave the breakout room and come back and announce the results of the selection. So it does. And tell me, Lenny, Jam, and Maria, how you want to do this. We could, each of us can send to a single email address and somehow you share it in your group, or if you want us to do one email to 3 addresses, just tell us how to do it. But because that's what we're gonna have to do. And all of us will have to know your email addresses as, in a timely way in order to send our selection in the election. So what do you think works for you, Lenny? You've done this already.
Right. Well, I'm perfectly willing to just collect the emails and share them with the other members of the committee. But if we think for transparency's sake that we need to include everyone's email, I'm fine with that as well. But I would be happy to coordinate it if that's what Jam and Maria would prefer.
Okay, well, let's, your email address is?
It is L Orbovich, as you can see it's spelled on the screen. L Orbovich, the number 1 at pghschools.org. At pghschools.org.
Okay, and so is there anyone who doesn't have email access right now for this process, in case we have to do a workaround on that, or needs that email address repeated? L Orbovich and then the digit 1 at pghschools.org. And so after we do the next step of this process, when the nomination election committee say it's time to vote, then you send your email. Now in the heading of the email, in the heading of the email, what do you want in there? So that you can pick out, I mean, the emails are gonna come in about the same amount of time, but just for, do you care?
Yeah, it does. A co-chair vote is fine.
Co-chair vote, okay. Okay, we think Heather is paying attention to us. And we'll be able to move Jam, Maria, and Lenny into a breakout room shortly after they ask you to. We're hearing
Okay.
you together.
When do you need the breakout room?
In a couple minutes, and 3 people will be moved there, Lenny, Jam, and Maria.
Okay, yeah, I have their names. We are about to go live at their public hearing, so I will listen for you, and whenever you give me the go, I'll just go ahead and put them in a breakout room. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Okay, perfect.
Is that where the music is coming from?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very cheerful.
All right, all yours, nomination and election committee.
All right, so thank you, everyone. Again, as you're all aware, we had a resignation of one of the co-chairs, so we need to replace that position. So we'll start, as we always do, with nominations. If anyone would like to self-nominate or nominate another one of the commissioners, please go ahead and do so.
Lenny, can you remind everybody who the officers are?
Sure.
Com-
So
Uh,
our current co-chairs are Sue Kerr and Sarah Rosso. Our outreach coordinator is Marcus Robinson. Our secretary is Billy Heilman, and our treasurer is Guillermo Velasquez. Am I missing anyone else? I think those are all the offices. Okay, so I assume unless, and Billy, you could step in here and clarify this. I don't know, can one of those officers also resign that position if nominated for co-chair?
Yeah, if a current officer is nominated and then is selected into a different officer position, then after that happens,
Like
it
that one.
will create a vacancy and then we'll
Okay.
be back at it. But yes, that can happen.
Okay, so there you go. So anyone and everyone is open to nomination, except for Sue and Sarah, because they're already there.
And for my clarity, who is the commissioner that stepped down from the co-chair role?
Chris Robinson.
Correct. That would be myself. Yes, sir.
But Chris is continuing to serve as a commissioner for the duration of his term.
Okay, well, I'll nominate Marcus Robinson.
I will second that if he'll do it.
Sure. I know you say I accept. Yeah, I accept the nomination.
All right, so that's one. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, Richard, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, so at this point then, we'll move to the breakout room. Please send me your email voting for Marcus or no one, and we'll come back and report the results.
We could talk during this time while we're waiting. Has anyone been to any particularly cool Pride events? Interesting, innovative, new? Nope.
I was at the Pride Revolution event. I was honored to have our historic flag as part of it. And it was very empowering to see everybody there. I was able to talk to Dan Frankel and many, many more people, and actually finally met Maria face to face, and that was very nice. And of course, Billy Porter was the surprise guest because he was in town, and just really gave such an incredible speech and talk to everybody. It was just a beautiful moment. I was very impressed with that event.
I agree, Richard. I think it was really well done. Very well attended.
I've been impressed with how many smaller, I call them little Pride Fest everywhere, like the Millvale, Mount Lebanon, Ross Township, one in Fayette County, Washington County. Just, it's really exciting to see all of these different communities having that in addition to the centralized events. It's very Pittsburgh. Did you see that the Pittsburgh Magazine did a story on the history of Pride Fest in Pittsburgh?
No, tell us more.
Well, they got a lot wrong, which I immediately emailed them about. But
Is that the Qberg group?
this is Pittsburgh Magazine. That it's been around.
Oh, that magazine.
Yeah, it's kind of the high-end fluffy magazine. It was actually a pretty good piece. There were just a few inaccuracies, but they started out with the history of Gay Liberation March in '73 all the way through what's happening now, and it was nice to see that featured.
Sorry to interrupt. I got a mailer demon for my email bounced back for your my vote didn't go through. It bounced back on your email, so my vote didn't go through. I'm guessing the vote counted, but I must have inputted your email wrong.
You're on.
Oh, you're on mute, Leonard.
Sorry, Britton. Would you like to try to resend it, or you okay with us moving forward?
I think it's fine.
All right, so we had 4 abstentions and then 7 votes in favor of Marcus. So Marcus, congratulations. Thank you for taking this on. And now we have a vacancy at Outreach Coordinator. So, we'll work on that one next month.
Thank you, Marcus. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Talk about.
Can I ask a quick question? What is the process for nominating new commissioners? Is there a process?
That was something we were going to ask Maria about, because our role is we don't nominate. We can send suggestions to the mayor's office if we want, but it's the mayor's role to nominate, the council role to approve. So
yes, if you send us names for commissioners, we're happy to review and appoint.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I think right now we just have 1 vacancy, Billy, is that correct? Or is it 2?
Well, I think that's up to the mayor, whether there even is a vacancy, because it says the commission will be at least 11 members. We're well over that. If it if it contracts, I don't know that there's a legislative I think there is not a legislative obligation to fill, just because there was a seat prior. But I think right now that we are just one fewer than where we have been at one point.
I think we would be happy to fill that position if folks have a name for consideration. Please send it our way.
That's good news.
Great. Well, everyone, if you can think of people who would be a good fit for the commission and would be interested, please ask them. And try not to use the word nominate, just to avoid misleading them about what kind of conversation we're having with them at this point. So anything else on commission elections? Okay, let's move on. Okay, up next is special committees. We had discussed putting together a municipal ordinance training, an online workshop for local municipalities. And at the last meeting, we decided that we would wait until after Pride and then solicit some input on some volunteers to work on this. And this is a really good opportunity to get involved. You don't have to know a lot about municipal ordinances or anything like that to help put together an event. We have some pretty good ideas on places we can go for resources to structure this, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I did want to just keep it alive. It's pretty important because we did lose an ordinance that was rescinded by a municipality, Chambersburg. So are there any thoughts or comments? If you would like to get involved in that, please message me or just the general Google group. And we'll keep the group as a whole informed as we move forward. This would not be until the fall, most likely. Any thoughts, comments, feedback? I do.
So you had mentioned my friend Julie Bramer that had tried to get the ordinance passed in Peters Township in her experience. I spoke to her after our last meeting about if she'd be willing to talk about that experience with us and maybe be involved as we go forward on this particular project. And she did indicate that she'd like to. So we can talk more about that, but I wanted to let you know.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yep.
Peters Township was the first township in Washington County, outside of Allegheny County, actually to consider it. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from what didn't work, especially the arguments they made.
Yep.
That can be countered. And I do want to just, make a pitch for this. It sounds maybe a little bit mundane, but this is really where the battles are fought out on municipal level of government and in school councils. So, and in a lot of municipalities, the municipal government has some way in the school board. So we can have a small but mighty effect if we prepare people to take this on. And I think what we're seeing in Mount Lebanon right now, where three members of the community are suing a teacher and the school district over teaching about gender identity, is a good example of Mount Lebanon has a non-discrimination ordinance, and that kind of bolsters the case of the school district, but now there's resources that are having to be spent dealing with this rather frivolous lawsuit, and it could set the example for other municipalities that don't have an ordinance. So I just want to make a pitch if you're looking for a project. Okay. All right. COVID policies, unfinished business, COVID policies and social events. As of right now, as you know, we're meeting online this month and next month. We made that call based on what the numbers were in May. And also because the IT department was a little down because of COVID, and we didn't want to overextend their resources, we don't want to take advantage of that. So we are currently relying on the county department, the city, whatever the city protocols are, and the CDC to guide us. So in July, we'll make a decision about what's going to happen in August and moving forward. And we're just all going to have to be flexible for a while because we have to balance, of course, public health with the not knowing far in advance. But we do have an invitation to go to Guillermo's workplace, and we have a plan in place to make that happen. So that's the plan right now. Any other questions or concerns about COVID protocols? I have to like.
I was just going to add to Guillermo. I know we were in the process of getting that site visit scheduled just to make sure, you know, that everything works for IMP. So we could go ahead and do that while we still wait to, you know, if you're comfortable and you all.
Yeah, sure. Anytime
just
next
so you
week
know.
or whenever you want. Mhm.
Okay, so I'll touch base with Dave again, see, you know, if staffing wise they're feeling better about it, and just say, you know, we're not planning to do this, but just so when we do decide, we can, you know, we have a little bit more leeway in terms of scheduling.
Okay.
There's also been an interest in having some social gatherings for us to spend time together in an environment where we could practice social distancing and so forth a little more easily. Anyone's free to organize something like that or pitch it or propose it, get it going. I'd be realistic. The co-chairs do not have the time to do that right now. So, and I think being as it's summer, maybe something outside would be nice for safety reasons if anybody wanted to pick that up and run with it. I think we've done a great job of being cohesive as a group and communicating through all these months online. And it's been very challenging at times, but the numbers are looking better. So that's good. And hopefully when we get through June, we'll see what happens next. So ultimately, we have to do what the city recommendations are. So in terms of where we meet, Guillermo's space does meet those standards in terms of having enough room between our seats and all that sort of thing. So we're not going to be able to meet in a little bit more crowded space. But I would suggest if you have a space that you'd like to propose that we consider meeting at, please send that to the co-chairs. But we could start creating a list. I would keep COVID in mind when you're proposing something, and other city protocols too. All right, let's move on. Pride. All right, I'm going to flip this and just do the commission statement. Last week, Sarah told me that they had drafted it.
Are we going to address the plumbing code issue? Do we want to talk about that before?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Yes, let's go back. I apologize. An outstanding business that we let the ball drop on was the plumbing code issue with the county. Luca was working on that, and the health department was revising their code and regulations to permit businesses to have gender neutral bathrooms. And I believe that they were successful in making that change to the code. Does that sound right to everyone? But then an issue came up about the way that the health department employees treated a member of our community who was advocating for this. And it was a, let's just say, disrespectful interaction. And because we were part of that, we felt that we should address it. And that's Luca resigned, and so we didn't follow up on that, and we want to. So I don't remember the specifics. I know that I believe the employees did not use the appropriate pronouns. I don't remember if it involved their name, but it's something that we should address.
Testimony at a public testimony at a Board of Health meeting that Luca also was testifying at That's my recollection, that the misgendering and the refusal to be corrected happened at a public Board of Health meeting is what I remember. But in terms of them, I guess they're employees, but I think they were the Board of Health, whoever sits on the Board of Health, it was one member there.
My recollection as well.
Is anyone interested in diving back into our meeting minutes and email to catch us all up on what was actually shared? And the county does have a non-discrimination ordinance, so members of the commission, any county commission, should treat people with respect. And that's probably something we would need to bring to the health director's department attention. But first, we got to figure out what happened.
Sue, I could forward Luca's email where it's detailed out.
Okay. I'm asking if somebody can sort of take the lead on sussing out what happened, and because what is happening right now is that the executive committee is doing a lot of the projects, and we're getting overloaded a little bit. So I can't take one more piece on right now, but could somebody else?
Well, let's forward it to the Google group, and then try to, maybe in that group we can generate someone who wants to take the lead on it if we don't have a volunteer now. But let's as a group at least get in one conversation the bits and pieces that we know, so that we have them in one place.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Any other thoughts on that?
Sue, I just forwarded the conversation that Luca had to that email.
Great. So everyone, please take a look at that and weigh in with your thoughts. It is important. I will contact that community member and let them know. Well, first of all, to confirm that they would like us to address it. I don't want to put them on the spot publicly unless they agree. So, and I'm using they because I don't remember their pronouns. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay, let's move on to Pride. So Sarah had told me that they drafted the Pride statement, and I know Billy and someone else were looking at it. Does anyone have an update beyond that?
Sarah started it and shared the link to work on the Pride statement. My last check on it, I did not add to it. I'd already started one on it in a Word doc that I was working on, and it was going in a little bit different direction. So I didn't want to obliterate what was already there. So, but I haven't checked in with Sarah. But I think that probably, unless she's made progress, I don't know, Kathy, I think you were linked in this too. Maybe not. You're shaking your head no. So my understanding was from Sarah that she was including you in it when she and I were talking, but maybe that didn't happen. But anyway, I think that it's not finished yet, but I think, there's probably, because tomorrow is so packed, there's probably not much work going to be done on it tomorrow. There won't be any by me, but certainly by Saturday, I think there would be a completed draft to share with everyone. There's nothing that I know of to present tonight for approval.
Okay. What Sarah and I discussed would be, and again, this was just, a suggestion from the two of us, was that we release it at the end of the month and we have a chance to look back at what took place this month, because it's been a very full month. That there's been these horrible attacks on Pride Fest, or attempts attacks. There's the presidential proclamation yesterday, or the executive order. We have the state Don't Say Gay law. I mean, there's just so much going on, and that we would time it to be released closer to the actual anniversary of Stonewall, to tie it to Stonewall itself. And then that gives a little more time to finish it. Does that seem okay with everyone? And then we would work with Maria to distribute that. And the other piece is the opinion piece. I always say op-ed, but that's not correct. So I've been started on that. I sent around an email through our Google group with a lot of historical details. I know I'm missing some things. The point of this opinion piece is to talk about the fact that this commission stands on the shoulders of decades of organizing, and that we have changed the system by existing as a commission. And that includes the advisory committee, of course, but also it goes back much further than that to Randy Forrester's run for county commissioner, and even the first Gay Liberation March, the founding of the Mattachine Society here in Pittsburgh. And I mean, our history goes back further than that, but just systemically. And really to try to help people understand how just the fact that we're still here doing this and having these conversations and focusing on these issues like Facebook and all that is important. Did anyone read through all of my detailed factual analysis? I know Billy will at some point, but
No, I already looked at it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing some things, and I'm trying to be conscious of. So I would appreciate if you could take a moment to look at that, and if
can maybe now to help, get this to a more completed form at some point in the next week or so, because all of a sudden the Post-Gazette's going to say, where is it, right? So, and that's going to happen fast. That you had a long list of things. I can fill in a lot of the, a lot of things that you had started there, but, and I'll do that, but where are we going with it? I mean, is there some, so you said a little bit that, the commission's existence now stands on this history of things that have been happening. And you're talking, more than a 50-year period now, that when you're bringing up some of the organizations that you brought up. So that's the major theme of it? Because in 900 words, the anecdotal things that you want to insert there, your list is much greater than that.
Right. That's not meant to be what all of that will not be included. It was just meant to be some of the things that I thought we, should consider. We have to pick and choose from them to what will the theme be? Because I mean, there's the whole history with the non-discrimination, the human relations ordinance in Pittsburgh in the 80s and 90s. I listed some of the significant LGBTQ elected officials, just different folks like that. But a lot of comments I get from people about our commission is tied to the theme of what are you getting done? What are your accomplishments? And not recognizing first that it takes a lot of work to get up and running, and how much time we've put into that, but also that we're not going to do necessarily big splashy, we can only take on certain things to begin with, but that's not a very coherent response. The point is to say that a lot of history happened, and this is a culminating moment of that, not the only one, but this group would not exist without Bruce Krause running for city council, or without Billy.
Well, I believe it's a big accomplishment that the commission exists, that it has been formed, that it has sort of a structure, and this could have not been possible. So we should be proud of this achievement. And obviously, I think what we are doing is creating the foundation, what is to come in the future. And other possible future commissioners will do something else that they will do in their times. So I think, we should be proud of what we have done and the collaboration that we are trying to establish with the city and perhaps even other entities to work with, such as the work that has been done with the pirates so far. And so the accomplishments that just keep going, having a website, having this, having that. I think there's a lot.
I guess my broad question in terms of this and the work in the commission as a whole is, what are our plans for, or what are we doing to improve the lives of LGBTQIA people in Pittsburgh?
And I think that on that very topic, that we should weave into this op-ed piece the goals that we established, under, the guidance of Denise, that we get those things in there. I think that there's some core principles in those goals that will help to answer what Maria just asked. And I'll stop there.
Because I think it, talking about the history of how the commission came to be and how we stand on the shoulders of all that came before us is great. But if we want to adjust or change the narrative out there that folks don't understand what we do or what the point of us is, then I think being able to address in that piece very directly of like, here's our purpose, here are our goals, here's our objectives, and like we want to work with the entire community to make that happen, right? Because there's, like you said, Sue, there's only so much we can do, right? There's only so much we can do. There's only so many hours in a day that the folks in this group can work and do things. Really what we need is broad-based community support to pull together to do more, to do what we want to do, to change the lived experience for our community and our city. It's going to take all of us together, right? Not just 12 of us sitting in a Zoom room once a month, right? So I think it's sort of that general fits into a broader call for action that we could do as part of it, right? Here are our goals. And like, we understand that right now our community is under tremendous attack from state houses across the country and right here in Pennsylvania. And, we cannot stop and rest on our history. We must continue to keep pushing forward, because the moment we stop fighting for our liberation is the moment that we lose. And right now we're under deep attack. Our rights are under attack. And we need to, once again, come together as one community to stand up and say, enough is enough. We're going to keep fighting to make sure that all of us have the humanity and dignity that we deserve. So I think something along like acknowledging the history component of it, state very clearly what our purpose and our goals are, a clear call to community action about what we need them to do if we're going to be successful. And then like paint it as like there's some urgency to this because there are attacks, and that this is one vehicle we have to address them from a municipal government level.
So Maria, you were not in the previous meetings that we have had, but I had made this comment to the group before. And one of the reasons why I had an interest in joining this commission was because I am linked to the Latino community in Pittsburgh. So whatever is it that I learned, that I'm able to, connections that I'm able to establish, and actually information that I may not be aware of, that I plan to hopefully extend it to the community and try to understand how, this community can, there's obviously a need that I see in the Latino community, and that's education. Education, because we have families, we have children, we have teenagers, and even myself, for many years, I live in fear of trying to accept who really I am. And until finally I did. So I'm assuming that I am not a single case, and there's probably some of this happening in the Latino community. I have already spoken to other Latino organizations to see if we can join efforts to do some kind of education. But again, everything is going to take time. It's going to take money. And actually experts, because it can't be me who is going to be telling the Latino community and talking about LGBT matters. I think it has to be experts. So how are we going to do that? It's something that the commission can actually, I'm trying to understand how the commission can actually help, and not just the commission itself, but it's also a city matter because, these people are living in the city, they're living in this region. So overall, there's all these points that we're trying to connect and hopefully we can find a way to actually do something.
Yeah, and I would push back a little bit on you discounting yourself as an expert, because you are an expert on your lived experience as a member of the intersections of those communities, and understanding how critical and important it is to educate within. I get it as a Latina myself. Like, my family was not so great when I first came out, and there was a lot of education that went through that, right? And our lived experience matters, right? And the opinion of an outside expert at times can yes, it can be helpful, but we shouldn't discount our own lived experiences and our own expertise about our lives and our worldviews that we've experienced and have been shaped by our identities.
And I have a great space where I can actually do workshops, and that's how my whole idea began to be able to do something for the community where I come from, and be able to do something for in terms of education. But I think it's one step at a time. I still have the hope that I will be able to do something at some point, but it's I think it's a process.
Sue, while I was thinking through the list and listening to Maria and Guillermo, there was one, I don't know how many people know about it, but quite spectacular. It's more than an event, but a year after the civil rights legislation in Pittsburgh was amended to add protections based on sexual orientation, a year after that, there was a petition circulated to get on the ballot a repeal of the city law. And the circulators of that petition collected over 11,000 signatures and submitted it. And it was headed for a ballot referendum in Pittsburgh. And we challenged it, we organized, and there were dozens of people. It was in Jonathan Robison's law offices downtown on, I guess, 4th Avenue. And we went through every single petition signature. We obtained the voter registration rolls. It was on a tape. I mean, you couldn't get you couldn't get it emailed to you. You couldn't get Dropboxed or even on a jump drive, the voter rolls. There was like a tape, like a magnetic tape on a spool. And it was loaded onto a computer at PERSAD. Randy Forrester and some other people went over to PERSAD and used their new computers, early 90s computers, and then generated paper copies of the voter rolls. And we had dozens of people for 48 hours straight going through every signature and address. And we knocked out over 5,000 of the signatures. Jonathan Robinson and other people wrote up and went to court with this document that was hundreds of pages deep, identifying every signature that was invalid on it. And the referendum never got on the ballot. And it was dozens of people in the community that came together and protected something that they had just achieved. And that's exactly what we need to do with what's happening across the country and in our state now. It's that type of community organizing that has to happen. I think our municipal ordinance workshop is going to be extremely important, particularly in the fervor of the fall election season. And then these other things, I think raising in our op-ed a huge success of community organizing that is now more than 30 years old, that this is something that we've had to do from the beginning, and that we now even more have to do. And all of you, meaning Pittsburgh, you need to be involved in it. You can't just be appalled by Mount Lebanon. You got to show up. I think our op-ed should be a call for showing up to do the work, and not just, hey, what's the commission doing?
that's, I think, exactly what I was trying to get to with history, is that that's a very vivid example of something that most people probably don't know or haven't been exposed to, but at the same time, it's offers hope that we've done this, we've been here before, and we have overcome it. And um, this commission wouldn't be here if it weren't for that effort. I mean, it's important to know your history, and I don't want to make it a history lesson. I just want to make people remember that you can learn from history, that people can do stuff. But so I'll take a stab at the rest of the narrative part and see, maybe that would be our center example of historical action. Billy, I can pull that out of your head a little bit.
Yeah, I know you got 900 words available to you. So I'll try to write 75 that, or 50 that.
Well, I'll take a stab at it, and then you can maybe edit it and see,
Sure.
make sure it's accurate. But I agree with a lot of what you've all said, and I think it's important that we do this and continue to move forward with calling people to action, including our own commissioners. I'm going to just make another appeal. We really need people to get involved in these different projects. So it's, not the same 4 or 5 people doing so much. Any questions on that? I'll get a draft out soon. Whoops, wrong. Okay. Okay, so we have a situation to discuss on our agenda. It's called Observatory Hill Safety, but we actually are going to kick that to the end of the meeting, because we're going to go into executive session because we are discussing a situation involving a specific family with 3 minor children. So that's not going to be a public conversation. So we're going to skip ahead to the proposed Pennsylvania statewide Don't Say Gay legislation. It is taking form in the Pennsylvania Senate. I'm sure there's a version in the House that just hasn't made the news yet. This is similar to Florida, although they have learned their lesson. They've expanded the age group to now be up till 5th grade, that there cannot be school-based curricula or educator-initiated conversations around these topics. However, the Pennsylvania legislation does allow for students to bring things up if they want, which the Florida legislation does not. But that's still, the idea of the chilling effect that will have on students about being able to see families like theirs in their academic materials and have conversations. And it's pretty atrocious, especially up to 5th grade. Because in 5th grade, that's when you're starting to, I remember we learned, that's when we had the big class discussion on sex, was in 5th grade. So, and I went to a Pennsylvania public school. So should we consider a statement opposing this? We can do public commentary on, when it goes to the floor, and we can urge people to contact their state senators. We have a lot of options. I'm assuming everyone's agreed that this is not a good thing. It's dangerous.
I feel that the commission definitely needs to make a statement about it, and very quickly. It's very hard when these pieces of legislation come up and they are railed through very fast, and we don't want to be too slow in responding to them. We need to get ahead of it.
It's also budget season in Harrisburg. So it will be easy for this to slide under the radar a little bit, because that will be a battle. And then, of course, the elections. And
I think Richard's right, and you are too, and we should do that, and we may need to do more, even if I mean, they're amending the Pennsylvania School Code. I mean, there's actually 3 very bad bills right now. The one that's called the Don't Say Gay bill, but also one that's now referred to as the book banning bill, where, you know, the notification to parents of anything that you know, refers to sexual activity, which when it comes to queer people, that just means existing. And that qualifies, and the parent notification of what is in the schools and the school library is essentially a book banning bill. And there's still the trans athlete bill that is now, you know, has bills both in the House and the Senate, already passed in the House, and I think it passed in the Senate already. But anyway, yes, we should do statements on those, but I think we need to do more. I think we have to keep it public, because these are very sinister bills, because they hide what their real intention is, and they present as a parental rights thing. So people, why shouldn't I know about what's in the school library? You know, so they do that, but it's really, as you said, a chilling effect. And at the same time, our schools, our society is teaching gender identity and sexual orientation from day one. When you line up the girls and the boys in early childhood classroom to go to the restroom, you're teaching gender identity. I mean, we're already doing it. So this is so sinister in the way that it's done. It is intended to shame people. That's its intention, is to send us backwards and shame us. And it's the opposite of pride. So yeah, we do need to make a statement.
Well, perhaps we can do a statement on all 3 and to make those, connect the dots there. The interesting piece with the lawsuit in Mount Lebanon is that it's factually wrong. It claims that the school district allows parents to opt out of learning about slavery and the Holocaust, among other things, including Planned Parenthood and Black Lives Matter and it's just all this hodgepodge. You cannot opt out of learning about slavery or the Holocaust in Mount Lebanon. You don't have, and they don't really teach a lot about Planned Parenthood in the early education system. So it's sinister, but it's also, it's deliberately wrong, you know, and deeply offensive. So we'll have work on a statement and act quickly. If someone wants to take the lead on that, please speak up. Or if we want to discuss what other kinds of things we should do, this might be where we take some of the things Maria was talking about, where we have to go to our community and say, it's not enough for us as a commission. I mean, what is it really going to impact is it going to have? I think it's important that we do it, but it's more important that we get people calling their own legislators and or contacting them however they, you know, feel is appropriate. And that's, you know, where we're going to have an impact, because the trans sports bill is Valerie Gatos, she's right here in southwestern PA. She is Allegheny County representative. So I mean, we have access to people who are in her district. Unfortunately, I guess until we have our Facebook page up and running, we can't really do a lot of outreach, but maybe we need to have a conversation about that. We need to move on because we're going to run out of time and we want to talk about this other issue. So any other comments on this?
I'd like to be involved in writing the statement.
You could take the lead, Lenny, now that you're on that big old fat summer break that you get with public text.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
A few more days.
Okay, Heather, can you kick us? We're going to conclude the public portion of this meeting and reconvene in executive session. Nobody has to go anywhere. Heather's just going to take us offline, and then we will take up our final matter of the evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
I'm going to move that we move to
Yeah,
executive session, if there's a second.
I second that.
Second,
Yeah, we have to vote to go into executive session.
Yes. I'm being a dictator here, sorry.
Yeah.
Move away from the,
All right,
so
I'll,
Heather, can
I can't call for the vote since I made the motion. Chair.
I can hear you guys.
all in favor of moving to executive session?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Heather, take us away.